LETTER XXXIX of Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 8. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Nicole Lee. Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 8. By Samuel Richardson. Letter 39. Mr. Lovelace to John Belford, Esq. Tuesday morning, August 29th. Now, Jack, will I give thee an account of what passed on occasion of the visit made us by Colonel Morden. He came on horseback, attended by one servant, and Lord M. received him as a relation of Miss Harlowe's with the highest marks of civility and respect. After some general talk of the times and of the weather, and such nonsense as Englishmen generally make their introductory topics to conversation, the Colonel addressed himself to Lord M. and to me as follows. I need not, my Lord, and Mr. Lovelace, as you know the relation I bear to the Harlowe family, make any apology for entering upon a subject which, on account of that relation, you must think is the principal reason of the honour I have done myself in this visit. Miss Harlowe, Miss Clarissa Harlowe's affair, said Lord M. with his usual forward bluntness. That, Sir, is what you mean. She is by all accounts the most excellent woman in the world. I am glad to hear that is your Lordship's opinion of her. It is every one's. It is not only my opinion, Colonel Morden, proceeded the prating peer, but it is the opinion of all my family, of my sisters, of my nieces, and of Mr. Lovelace himself. Colonel. Would to Heaven it had been always Mr. Lovelace's opinion of her. Lovelace. You have been out of England, Colonel, a good many years. Perhaps you are not yet fully apprized of all the particulars of this case. Colonel. I have been out of England, Sir, about 7 years. My cousin was then about 12 years of age. But never was there at 20 so discreet, so prudent, and so excellent a creature. All that knew her, or saw her, admired her. Mind and person, never did I see such promises of perfection in any young lady: and I am told, nor is it to be wondered at, that, as she advanced to maturity, she more than justified and made good those promises. Then as to fortune, what her father, what her uncles, and what I myself intended to do for her, besides what her grandfather had done, there is not a finer fortune in the country. Lovelace. All this, Colonel, and more than this, is Miss Clarissa Harlowe: and had it not been for the implacableness and violence of her family, all resolved to push her upon a match as unworthy of her as hateful to her, she had still been happy. Colonel. I own, Mr. Lovelace, the truth of what you observed just now, that I am not thoroughly acquainted with all that has passed between you and my cousin. But permit me to say, that when I first heard that you made your addresses to her, I knew but of one objection against you: that, indeed, a very great one: and upon a letter sent me, I gave her my free opinion upon that subject. But had it not been for that, I own that in my private mind there could not have been a more suitable match. For you are a gallant gentleman, graceful in your person, easy and genteel in your deportment, and in your family, fortunes, and expectations, happy as a man can wish to be. Then the knowledge I had of you in Italy, although, give me leave to say, your conduct there was not wholly unexceptionable, convinces me that you are brave, and few gentlemen come up to you in wit and vivacity. Your education has given you great advantages, your manners are engaging, and you have travelled. And I know, if you'll excuse me, you make better observations than you are governed by. All these qualifications make it not at all surprising that a young lady should love you; and that this love, joined to that indiscreet warmth wherewith my cousin's friends would have forced her inclinations in favour of men who are far your inferiors in the qualities I have named, should throw herself upon your protection. But then, if there were these two strong motives, the one to induce, the other to impel her, let me ask you, Sir, if she were not doubly entitled to generous usage from a man whom she chose for her protector, and whom, let me take the liberty to say, she could so amply reward for the protection he was to afford her? Lovelace. Miss Clarissa Harlowe was entitled, Sir, to have the best usage that man could give her. I have no scruple to own it. I will always do her the justice she so well deserves. I know what will be your inference, and have only to say, that time past cannot be recalled. Perhaps I wish it could. The Colonel then, in a very manly strain, set forth the wickedness of attempting a woman of virtue and character. He said that men had generally too many advantages from the weakness, credulity, and inexperience of the fair sex; that their early learning, which chiefly consisted in inflaming novels, and idle and improbable romances, contributed to enervate and weaken their minds; that his cousin, however, he was sure, was above the reach of common seduction, and not to be influenced to the rashness her parents accused her of by weaker motives than their violence, and the most solemn promises on my part; but nevertheless, having those motives, and her prudence, eminent as it was, being rather the effect of constitution than experience, a fine advantage, however, he said, to ground an unblameable future life upon, she might not be apprehensive of bad designs in a man she loved. It was therefore a very heinous thing to abuse the confidence of such a woman. He was going on in this trite manner, when, interrupting him, I said, These general observations, Colonel, suit not perhaps this particular case. But you yourself are a man of gallantry, and possibly, were you to be put to the question, might not be able to vindicate every action of your life, any more than I. Col. You are welcome, Sir, to put what questions you please to me; and I thank God I can both own and be ashamed of my errors. Lord M. looked at me. But as the Colonel did not by his manner seem to intend a reflection, I had no occasion to take it for one, especially as I can as readily own my errors as he, or any man, can his, whether ashamed of them or not. He proceeded. As you seem to call upon me, Mr. Lovelace, I will tell you, without boasting of it, what has been my general practice till lately, that I hope I have reformed it a good deal. I have taken liberties which the laws of morality will by no means justify; and once I should have thought myself warranted to cut the throat of any young fellow who should make as free with a sister of mine, as I have made with the sisters and daughters of others. But then I took care never to promise any thing I intended not to perform. A modest ear should as soon have heard downright obscenity from my lips, as a matrimony, if I had not intended it. Young ladies are generally ready enough to believe we mean honourably, if they love us; and it would look like a strange affront to their virtue and charms, that it should be supposed needful to put the question, whether in your address you mean a wife. But when once a man make a promise, I think it ought to be performed; and a woman is well warranted to appeal to every one against the perfidy of a deceiver, and is always sure to have the world on her side. Now, Sir, continued he, I believe you have so much honour as to own, that you could not have made way to so eminent a virtue, without promising marriage, and that very explicitly and solemnly. I know very well, Colonel, interrupted I, all you would say. You will excuse me, I am sure, that I break in upon you, when you find it is to answer the end you drive at. I own to you, then, that I have acted very unworthily by Miss Clarissa Harlowe; and I'll tell you further, that I heartily repent of my ingratitude and baseness to her. Nay, I will say still further, that I am so grossly culpable as to her, that even to plead that the abuses and affronts I daily received from her implacable relations were in any manner a provocation to me to act vilely by her, would be a mean and low attempt to excuse myself; so low and so mean, that it would doubly condemn me. And if you can say worse, speak it. He looked upon Lord M. and then upon me 2 or 3 times; and my Lord said, My kinsman speaks what he thinks. I'll answer for him. Lovel. I do, Sir. And what can I say more? And what further, in your opinion, can be done? Col. Done, Sir! Why, Sir, in a haughty tone he spoke, I need not tell you that reparation follows repentance; and I hope you make no scruple of justifying your sincerity as to the one or the other. I hesitated; for I relish not the manner of his speech, and his haughty accent, as undetermined whether to take proper notice of it or not. Col. Let me put this question to you, Mr. Lovelace. Is it true, as I have heard it is, that you would marry my cousin, if she would have you? What say you, Sir? This wound me up a peg higher. Lovel. Some questions, as they may be put, imply commands, Colonel. I would be glad to know how I am to take yours, and what is to be the end of your interrogatories. Col. My questions are not meant by me as commands, Mr. Lovelace. The end is, to prevail upon a gentleman to act like a gentleman, and a man of honour. Lovel. Briskly. And by what argument, Sir, do you propose to prevail upon me? Col. By what argument, Sir, prevail upon a gentleman to act like a gentleman? I am surprised at that question from Mr. Lovelace. Lovel. Why so, Sir? Col. Why so, Sir? Angrily. Let me Lovel. Interrupting. I don't choose, Colonel, to be repeated upon in that accent. Lord M. Come, come, gentlemen, I beg of you to be willing to understand one another. You young gentlemen are so warm. Col. Not I, my Lord. I am neither very young, nor unduly warm. Your nephew, my Lord, can make me be every thing he would have me to be. Lovel. And that shall be whatever you please to be, Colonel. Col. Fiercely. The choice be yours, Mr. Lovelace, friend or foe, as you do or are willing to do justice to one of the finest women in the world. Lord M. I guessed from both your characters what would be the case when you met. Let me interpose, gentlemen, and beg you but to understand one another. You both shoot at one mark, and if you are patient, will both hit it. Let me beg of you, Colonel, to give no challenges. Col. Challenges, my Lord! There are things I ever was readier to accept than to offer. But does your Lordship think that a man so nearly related as I have the honour to be to the most accomplished woman on earth Lord M. Interrupting. We all allow the excellencies of the lady, and we shall all take it as the greatest honour to be allied to her that can be conferred upon us. Col. So you ought, my Lord. A perfect charmant, thought I. See Otway's Orphan. Lord M. So we ought, Colonel, and so we do: and pray let every one do as he ought, and no more than he ought: and you, Colonel, let me tell you, will not be so hasty. Lovel. Coolly. Come, come, Colonel Morden, don't let this dispute, whatever you intend to make of it, go further than with you and me. You deliver yourself in very high terms, higher than ever I was talked to in my life. But here, beneath this roof, 'twould be inexcusable for me to take that notice of it which, perhaps, it would become me to take elsewhere. Col. That is spoken as I wish the man to speak whom I should be pleased to call my friend, if all his actions were of a piece; and as I would have the man speak whom I would think it worth my while to call my foe. I love a man of spirit, as I love my soul. But, Mr. Lovelace, as my Lord thinks we aim at one mark, let me say, that were we permitted to be alone for 6 minutes, I dare say, we should soon understand one another perfectly well. And he moved to the door. Lovel. I am entirely of your opinion, Sir, and will attend you. My Lord rung, and stepped between us. Colonel, return, I beseech you, return, said he; for he had stepped out of the room while my Lord held me. Nephew, you shall not go out. The bell in my Lord's raised voice brought in Mowbray and Clements, my Lord's gentlemen; the former in his careless way, with his hands behind him. What's the matter, Bobby? What's the matter, my Lord? Only, stammered the agitated peer, these young gentlemen are young gentlemen, that's all. Pray, Colonel Morden, who again entered the room with a sedater aspect, let this cause have a fair trial, I beseech you. Colonel. With all my heart, my Lord. Mowbray whispered me. What's the cause, Bobby? Shall I take the gentleman to task for thee, my boy? Not for the world, whispered I. The Colonel is a gentleman, and I desire you'll not say one word. Well, 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 Bobby, I have done. I can turn thee loose to the best man upon God's earth, that's all, Bobby, strutting off to the other end of the room. Colonel. I am sorry, my Lord, I should give your Lordship the least uneasiness. I came not with such a design. Lord M. Indeed, Colonel, I thought you did, by your taking fire so quickly. I am glad to hear you say you did not. How soon a little spark kindles into a flame, especially when it meets with such combustible spirits. Colonel. If I had had the least thought of proceeding to extremities, I am sure Mr. Lovelace would have given me the honour of a meeting where I should have been less an intruder. But I came with an amicable intention, to reconcile differences rather than to widen them. Lovelace. Well then, Colonel Morden, let us enter upon the subject in your own way. I don't know the man I should sooner choose to be upon terms with than one whom Miss Clarissa Harlowe so much respects. But I cannot bear to be treated, either in word or accent, in a menacing way. Lord M. Well, 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 gentlemen, this is somewhat like. Angry men make to themselves beds of nettles, and, when they lie down in them, are uneasy with every body. But I hope you are friends. Let me hear you say you are. I am persuaded, Colonel, that you don't know all this unhappy story. You don't know how desirous my kinsman is, as well as all of us, to have this matter end happily. You don't know, do you, Colonel, that Mr. Lovelace, at all our requests, is disposed to marry the lady? Colonel. At all your requests, my Lord? I should have hoped that Mr. Lovelace was disposed to do justice for the sake of justice, and when at the same time the doing of justice was doing himself the highest honour. Mowbray lifted up his before half-closed eyes to the Colonel, and glanced them upon me. Lovelace. This is in very high language, Colonel. Mowbray. By my soul, I thought so. Colonel. High language, Mr. Lovelace? Is it not just language? Lovelace. It is, Colonel. And I think the man that does honour to Miss Clarissa Harlowe does me honour. But nevertheless there is a manner in speaking that may be liable to exception, where the words, without that manner, can bear none. Colonel. Your observation in the general is undoubtedly just. But if you have the value for my cousin that you say you have, you must needs think... Lovelace. You must allow me, Sir, to interrupt you. If I have the value I say I have, I hope, Sir, when I say I have that value, there is no room for that if, pronounced as you pronounced it with an emphasis. Colonel. You have broken in upon me twice, Mr. Lovelace. I am as little accustomed to be broken in upon, as you are to be repeated upon. Lord M. 2 barrels of gunpowder, by my conscience! What a devil will it signify talking, if thus you are to blow one another up at every word? Lovelace. No man of honour, my Lord, will be easy to have his veracity called into question, though but by implication. Colonel. Had you heard me out, Mr. Lovelace, you would have found that my if was rather an if of inference than of doubt. But 'tis really a strange liberty gentlemen of free principles take, who, at the same time that they would resent unto death the imputation of being capable of telling an untruth to a man, will not scruple to break through the most solemn oaths and promises to a woman. I must assure you, Mr. Lovelace, that I always made a conscience of my vows and promises. Lovelace. You did right, Colonel. But let me tell you, Sir, that you know not the man you talk to, if you imagine he is not able to rise to a proper resentment, when he sees his generous confessions taken for a mark of base-spiritedness. Colonel. Warmly, and with a sneer. Far be it from me, Mr. Lovelace, to impute to you the baseness of spirit you speak of. For what would that be but to imagine that a man, who has done a very flagrant injury, is not ready to show his bravery in defending it? Mowbray. This is damned severe, Colonel. It is, by Jove. I could not take so much at the hands of any man breathing as Mr. Lovelace before this took at yours. Colonel. Who are you, Sir? What pretence have you to interpose in a cause where there is an acknowledged guilt on one side, and the honour of a considerable family wounded in the tenderest part by that guilt on the other? Mowbray, whispering to the Colonel. My dear child, you will oblige me highly if you will give me the opportunity of answering your question, and was going out. The Colonel was held in by my Lord, and I brought in Mowbray. Col. Pray, my good Lord, let me attend this officious gentleman, I beseech you, do. I will wait upon your Lordship in 3 minutes, depend upon it. Lovel. Mowbray, is this acting like a friend by me, to suppose me incapable of answering for myself? And shall a man of honour and bravery, as I know Colonel Morden to be, rash as perhaps in this visit he has shown himself, have it to say that he comes to my Lord M.'s house in a manner naked as to attendants and friends, and shall not for that reason be rather borne with than insulted? This moment, my dear Mowbray, leave us. You have really no concern in this business; and if you are my friend, I desire you'll ask the Colonel pardon for interfering in it in the manner you have done. Mowbray. Well, well, Bob. Thou shalt be arbiter in this matter. I know I have no business in it. And, Colonel, holding out his hand, I leave you to one who knows how to defend his own cause as well as any man in England. Colonel, taking Mowbray's hand at Lord M.'s request, you need not tell me that, Mr. Mowbray. I have no doubt of Mr. Lovelace's ability to defend his own cause, were it a cause to be defended. And let me tell you, Mr. Lovelace, that I am astonished to think that a brave man, and a generous man, as you have appeared to be in 2 or 3 instances that you have given in the little knowledge I have of you, should be capable of acting as you have done by the most excellent of her sex. Lord M. Well, but, gentlemen, now Mr. Mowbray is gone, and you have both shown instances of courage and generosity to boot, let me desire you to lay your heads together amicably, and think whether there be any thing to be done to make all end happily for the lady. Lovel. But hold, my Lord, let me say one thing, now Mowbray is gone; and that is, that I think a gentleman ought not to put up tamely 1 or 2 severe things that the Colonel has said. Lord M. What the devil canst thou mean? I thought all had been over. Why, thou hast nothing to do but to confirm to the Colonel that thou art willing to marry Miss Harlowe, if she will have thee. Col. Mr. Lovelace will not scruple to say that, I suppose, notwithstanding all that has passed. But if you think, Mr. Lovelace, I have said any thing I should not have said, I suppose it is this, that a man who has shown so little of the thing honour to a defenceless, unprotected woman, ought not to stand so nicely upon the empty name of it, with a man who is expostulating with him upon it. I am sorry to have cause to say this, Mr. Lovelace, but I would on the same occasion repeat it to a king upon his throne, and surrounded by all his guards. Lord M. But what is all this but more sacks upon the mill, more coals upon the fire? You have a mind to quarrel, both of you, I see that. Are you not willing, nephew, are you not most willing to marry this lady, if she can be prevailed upon to have you? Lovel. D me, my Lord, if I'd marry my empress upon such treatment as this. Lord M. Why now, Bob? Thou art more choleric than the Colonel. It was his turn just now. And now, you see, he is cool. You are all gunpowder. Lovel. I own the Colonel has many advantages over me; but perhaps there is one advantage he has not, if it were put to trial. Col. I came not hither, as I said before, to seek the occasion: but if it were offered me, I won't refuse it. And since we find we disturb my good Lord M., I'll take my leave, and will go home by the way of St. Albans. Lovel. I'll see you part of the way with all my heart, Colonel. Col. I accept your civility very cheerfully, Mr. Lovelace. Lord M. interposing again, as we were both for going out. And what will this do, gentlemen? Suppose you kill one another, will the matter be bettered or worsted by that? Will the lady be made happier or unhappier, do you think, by either or both of your deaths? Your characters are too well known to make fresh instances of the courage of either needful; and I think, if the honour of the lady is your view, Colonel, it can be no other way so effectually promoted as by marriage. And, Sir, if you would use your interest with her, it is very probable that you may succeed, though nobody else can. Lovel. I think, my Lord, I have said all that a man can say, since what is past cannot be recalled; and you see Colonel Morden rises in proportion to my coolness, till it is necessary for me to assert myself, or even he would despise me. Lord M. Let me ask you, Colonel, have you any way, any method that you think reasonable and honourable to propose, to bring about a reconciliation with the lady? This is what we all wish for; and I can tell you, Sir, it is not a little owing to her family, and to their implacable usage of her, that her resentments are heightened against my kinsman, who, however, has used her vilely, but is willing to repair her wrongs. Lovel. Not, my Lord, for the sake of her family, nor for this gentleman's haughty behaviour, but for her own sake, and in full sense of the wrongs I have done her. Col. As to my haughty behaviour, as you call it, Sir, I am mistaken if you would not have gone beyond it in the like case of a relation so meritorious and so unworthily injured. And, Sir, let me tell you, that if your motives are not love, honour, and justice, and if they have the least tincture of mean compassion for her, or of an uncheerful assent on your part, I am sure it will neither be desired or accepted by a person of my cousin's merit and sense, nor shall I wish that it should. Lovel. Don't think, Colonel, that I am meanly compounding off a debate, that I should as willingly go through with you as to eat or drink, if I have the occasion given me for it. But thus much I will tell you, that my Lord, that Lady Sarah Sadleir, Lady Betty Lawrance, my 2 cousins Montague, and myself, have written to her in the most solemn and sincere manner, to offer her such terms as no one but herself would refuse, and this long enough before Colonel Morden's arrival was dreamt of. Col. What reason, Sir, may I ask, does she give, against listening to so powerful a mediation, and to such offers? Lovel. It looks like capitulating, or else Col. It looks not like any such thing to me, Mr. Lovelace, who have as good an opinion of your spirit as man can have. And what, pray, is the part I act, and my motives for it? Are they not, in desiring that justice may be done to my cousin Clarissa Harlowe, that I seek to establish the honour of Mrs. Lovelace, if matters can once be brought to bear? Lovel. Were she to honour me with her acceptance of that name, Mr. Morden, I should not want you or any man to assert the honour of Mrs. Lovelace. Col. I believe it. But till she has honoured you with that acceptance, she is nearer to me than to you, Mr. Lovelace. And I speak this only to show you that, in the part I take, I mean rather to deserve your thanks than your displeasure, though against yourself, were there occasion. Nor ought you to take it amiss, if you rightly weigh the matter. For, Sir, whom does the lady want protection against but her injurers? And who has been her greatest injurer? Till, therefore, she becomes entitled to your protection as your wife, you yourself cannot refuse me some merit in wishing to have justice done my cousin. But, Sir, you were going to say, that if it were not to look like capitulating, you would hint the reasons my cousin gives against accepting such an honourable mediation. I then told him of my sincere offers of marriage. I made no difficulty, I said, to own my apprehensions, that my unhappy behaviour to her had greatly affected her, but that it was the implacableness of her friends that had thrown her into despair, and given her a contempt for life. I told him, that she had been so good as to send me a letter to divert me from a visit my heart was set upon making her, a letter on which I built great hopes, because she assured me that in it she was going to her father's, and that I might see her there, when she was received, if it were not my own fault. Col. Is it possible? And were you, Sir, thus earnest? And did she send you such a letter? Lord M. confirmed both, and also that in obedience to her desires, and that intimation, I had come down without the satisfaction I had proposed to myself in seeing her. It is very true, Colonel, said I, and I should have told you this before: but your heat made me decline it; for, as I said, it had an appearance of meanly capitulating with you; an abjectness of heart of which, had I been capable, I should have despised myself as much as I might have expected you would despise me. Lord M. proposed to enter into the proof of all this. He said, in his phraseological way, that one story was good till another was heard; and that the Harlowe family and I, it was true, had behaved like so many Orsons to one another; and that they had been very free with all our family besides: that nevertheless, for the lady's sake, more than for theirs, or even for mine, he could tell me, he would do greater things for me than they could ask, if she could be brought to have me: and that this he wanted to declare, and would sooner have declared, if he could have brought us sooner to patience and a good understanding. The Colonel made excuses for his warmth, on the score of his affection to his cousin. My regard for her made me readily admit them; and so a fresh bottle of Burgundy, and another of champagne, being put upon the table, we sat down in good humour, after all this blustering, in order to enter closer into the particulars of the case, which I undertook at both their desires to do. But these things must be the subject of another letter, which shall immediately follow this, if it do not accompany it. Meantime you will observe that a bad cause gives a man great disadvantages. For I myself think that the interrogatories put to me with so much spirit by the Colonel made me look cursedly mean; at the same time that it gave him a superiority which I know not how to allow to the best man in Europe. So that, literally speaking, as a good man would infer, guilt is its own punisher, in that it makes the most lofty spirit look like the miscreant he is. A good man, I say. So, Jack, proleptically I add, thou hast no right to make the observation. Letter 39.